Hello everyone, my name is Rosie and welcome to my channel. This is my first YouTube video and I just wanted to show you guys how I decide and how I like to do skulls. Disclaimer, on the other hand, I am not a schooled student. I was never taught by a teacher, so I'm not really sure what the proper technique is for a lot of things. However, the tips that I use will get you from a flat little surface like this, kind of scary, to a little something more demure, a little more mindful, a little more, you know what, we're done with that one for now. But other than that, this is going to be my first YouTube video, and this is how I start. I like to measure things in a very, I'm gonna say it again, mindful way, so I'm able to just make sure things lay with each other properly. So the way that I like to do it is I start with the focal point. If you didn't notice, I started with the cheek that is poking out on the side there that I notice isn't really connected to the head in the first place. Its cheekbones aren't really laid flat on your face. They're kind of like these sharp little like claws that stick out of it. So that's what I was trying to get. And from there, I look at everything and I use other things to measure where something is. So for example, when the cheekbone is there, I had to measure that little flip where the ear goes right next to it. And then I try to get the eye socket closer and closer as well too. You can literally see it going along here. But from there, that's how you really measure without using tools. In digital art, it's easier because you can always put the picture behind your picture that you're drawing. And obviously I was kind of close without even needing to actually measure anything because I've just been doing this for so long. It'll come with practice, it'll come with time, but trust me, it's gonna be okay. But yeah, try to measure using other focal points because it'll honestly save you a lot of hassle. Unless you prefer measuring with an actual ruler and everything, there are no rules in art. I always suggest to do what makes you feel best and what gets the products that you want most. Obviously, there's a lot of different people who have opinions about that, where it's like in painting, we would much prefer to see, like, school wise, someone using the proper tools rather than splashing paint on a canvas and trying to figure it out with their hands because there's less technique, quote unquote, to it. But obviously, I've never had technique. Not my problem. Never been my problem. So when I'm starting out after measuring, I put in all of the base shades. I try to get the darkest color I can, like try to get all of the shadows. And the best way that I found to do this is to give your focal point a little squint. So look at your reference, give it a little squint, and wherever you see those darkest parts, put in that dark color. Um, when it comes to shading, I know it's really hard to make your stuff not look muddy. The way that I learned how to make things not look like they're, I don't know, drawn on a computer, um, is to find those middle colors. Everyone talks about those transition shades, everyone talks about those transition colors. I line my work. My line work is the transition color. So then later I can go back and just kind of blend it all in and it'll look even more glowy, even more like pronounced. Because what you're doing is you're basically giving it that, sorry guys, rosy little feeling, that rosy texture, like where you're giving it some color. So your brain just kind of is illusioned by this masterpiece right here. But yeah, you start with the darker tones first and then you go in with your lighter ones, overlay. I think the hardest part for some people is finding the right colors. When you're looking at shadows, shadows are always considered blue. You want to use a lot more blue than you think. And from there, you really are going to learn how to gauge how many colors or how much you're mixing. If you're doing acrylic paint or if you're digital or not, it really helps to know what the base color of a shade or a shadow is, even if it's a transition or just center color. Transition shades, I tend to put more red and more yellows, so it gives it more of like a homey, warm feeling. And then shadows are meant to be cooling. They're meant to be blue and they're meant to be dark and mysterious. So as you saw throughout this, you probably can't see where my pen is going, but there are dark, blues. I've not once used the color black in this entire painting, nor have I once used the color white. And that's on purpose, because if I did want to make my background super, super dark, or give some really, really nice highlights, like shiny, glowy, wet looking highlights, I want to be able to save those deep, bold colors for the last minute. Yeah, and that would be my entire process of how to paint or do any sort of general type of shading and coloring and measuring. I really have learned everything from sitting here on YouTube and watching different artists. You can go down into my account and look through my playlist. Those are all the videos I've ever touched when learning how to do these things. And I started digital art maybe about 3 years ago with an ex-boyfriend. Yes, it was quite fun. And from there I stopped, and I just didn't touch it again until about a month ago, actually. So I've always been a very artistic person. I've always loved drawing and painting and making sure I've got a good handle on what I like in life. But it's been quite a journey understanding that I can love what I do and not need to pursue it as a career, but I could still make something of it. It doesn't need to be something that I'm pushing myself to overdo and to thin myself out on. I very much enjoy the fact that I'm able to be relaxed with this and just share with people who also want to see my artwork and also want to learn about the world and about how somebody who maybe has never been in a class before taught themselves, or decides to look at the world and decides to look at how art works, because maybe that person has a very similar mindset to you and we can help each other out. Whether it be because of financial issues or family or just anything going on in the world right now, it is hard to find education that is free. Free education is something that I stand very strongly for, and I find it to be a very ridiculous concept that we have limitations economically on certain points of information. It's very understandable to want to have certain people of educational backgrounds in certain positions that are helping us as a society. However, removing information that helps these kids who don't have the upper hand or other resources allows us to have more options of people who could be in those fields, who could literally cure cancer. But that debate is long-winded and tiring as well. So I'm just here giving you what I see and what I thought and what I've done with my artwork, and a little 10-minute conversation with a good friend, it feels like, until this video is over. But yeah, in the end, as you saw, I'm starting to put these dark colors in the background because I want to really make the highlights on that skull pop. I hadn't put in any extra really bright highlights yet because I really liked the way that this muted bone color sat with the skull that I made. And as you can see, I messed up. I always suggest making the background color first. This is something I probably should have said at the beginning of the video, but you understand it now. Do your background first so you're not having to color in every single edge later. You literally can see how I'm now like rendering out the tiniest details because the background has messed me up. And we all know Rosie should practice her skulls more. I should practice in general more. Sigh. I'm just allowing you guys to see all of the extra details I was putting in, so just in case if you wanted to draw this and have a reference as someone's process of how they did it and the little tiny extra details that I've been putting in, you have a 10-minute little YouTube video to refer to. So please like and subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. I will be posting more videos like this very soon. I have 3 other speed paints on the lock for you guys. And please follow my Instagram. The handle is art0 if you're interested in more work like this. There's many more pieces on that page. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful day, guys.